I think the UK and US property market is going to crash soon, and here's why. But first up, let me introduce myself. I'm Alex Huller. This is my first ever YouTube video, so I apologise if it's a bit scrappy, but it can only get better from here. The reason I'm giving my 2 pence today is to document my feelings and thoughts of the property industry, which I'm heavily involved in, but most importantly, hopefully help people get on their way in property without getting stung. I heavily follow the research of fund managers, bank managers and CEOs as they spend millions in R&D. So with absorbing all this knowledge like a sponge, I've come up with my own theory in what might happen in the market in the near future, and here's all the reasons why. So let's take a look at what just happened. So we've just had a big pandemic. Practically the whole world came to a standstill. Most businesses were unable to operate or had to operate from home. Many businesses shut the doors and a lot of businesses didn't open back up. Don't get me wrong, incentives were given by the government as they were printing money like no tomorrow. There was Corona pay, there was Eat Out to help out, there was big loans with low interest rates. Unfortunately for some, not all people were eligible for such a thing. And I do understand not everybody was able to get a helping hand, especially if they had little bucks. So during the pandemic, obviously we couldn't do a right lot. Interest rates hit 0.1%, so you could virtually lend money for nothing. A lot of people were stuck at home with not a right lot to do and still earning a good lump of the wage, thanks to government incentives. As everybody was at home, they invested a lot of money in home office equipment, home improvements, garden improvements, and a lot also took advantage of low car finance. Mortgages were also relaxed. The mortgage lenders also relaxed the lending criteria. A 95% mortgage product was put out there for everybody to use. Sounds amazing, right? But we're all locked in at home. What I believe this did was give the financially illiterate a Willy Wonka golden ticket. So you could get a dream house, a luxury car, renovate your house on a home improvement loan, or get furniture on finance, and the interest rate was virtually zero. And to supercharge us even more, the government announced a 0% stamp duty. So you no longer had to pay tax on your move, making it even more affordable and tempting for people to move and spend more money. Right, it's all good and well me just stating the obvious, but let's just have a look at the facts that back up my bias. On the 31st of December 2022, 95% loan to value mortgage scheme was ended. Don't get me wrong, there are probably still some lenders out there which would take on this risk. You see, the UK current average wage is £38,600 before tax. You would be left with £29,910. The average UK home price is currently £289,099. So let's just take a look at the affordability. £289,099 divided by £29,910, which is what you will be left with the average salary to buy the average home in the UK. This multiplier is around 9.41 times. So what this means, you'd have to save for 9.4 years without spending a penny to fully afford the UK average house, which is ridiculous. You've got to live as well. So don't forget, you're going to have rent, food, bills and fuel to pay on top of that, and any other extras you may want to buy, like a holiday. So this is where it gets pretty mad. Inflation is sat around 9.1% at the moment. Whereas if we look at this chart on here, in 2008, before the last financial crisis, when property prices fell off the face of the earth, was only at 5.2% back then. At today's date, in 2022, 9.1% inflation, which is absolutely colossal. Almost double what we were in 2008. So now let's have a look at the government chart on inflation over wages. As we can see on this chart, inflation is skyrocketing while regular pay is plummeting. So inflation's going like this and wages are going like this in comparison. So what I'm referring to is the black CPIH and the regular pay in light blue. As this is also reported on the government website, more than 3/4, 76% of businesses reported that they have some form of concern for the businesses for July 2022. The industry is reporting the highest percentages. The top three main concerns were the construction industry, who reported the largest percentage of input price inflation at 48%. This is up from 38% previously in May. The accommodation and food services activities industry, who reported the largest percentage change of 47%, up from 29% in May 2022. The real estate industry, which has reported the largest percentage competition at 18%, up from 13% May 2022. Let's look a bit further. The manufacturing index. As we can see, 2022, it dropped off the face of the earth, as it did in 2008 on the crash. Rocketed in 2020, with demand being at its highest and everything opening back up. Obviously, everyone had the incentives back then. Now interest rates have gone up and people have to start repaying their loans. The manufacturing index has started to fall off the face of the earth from 65 to 55. The fuel prices. Obviously, due to unforeseen circumstances in other countries that are nothing to do with us, we have been indirectly affected by this due to Russian sanctions, etc. Let's have a look at 2007, just before 2008 crash. They had a 29.3% increase on fuel prices. Obviously, fuel prices in the pandemic fell off the face of the earth. And in between 2008 and 2020, we sort of had an up and down, didn't break the highs, didn't break the lows, until 2020 happened. Because of all the sanctions and things going on in the world, we're now at an extra 36.2% increase in fuel prices as we struggle to get energy from different areas. See, a lot of people may still have a lot of money in assets, but then again, they could possibly be living paycheck to paycheck. As credit goes up and savings come down, this is the same pattern right across the world to try and counteract high prices of inflation, which are extremely tough on any consumer. For example, take a pensioner or a retired person. They're only getting one stream of set income. They have no possibility of extending their wages each month because they're now getting a set amount every month to last them the rest of their life. And also, the ones with cars are also having to pay the inflated fuel prices, not just food and other general living expenses. So in 2008, at a 5.2% inflation rate, the housing market fell 16%. See, we're nearly double that on the inflation rate. And just to supercharge it, most people are now financed up to their eyeballs, having taken advantage of all the things they could in the pandemic. So let's just say it fell 15% in 2008. Let's say we bought a house for £100,000 and back then we couldn't put the 5% in. But let's say we put 10% in and we had a 90% loan to value mortgage and we had £10,000 as a down payment and £90,000 on a mortgage. In 2008, when the house prices fell, let's say it fell 15% for easy numbers. So that house would now be worth £85,000 and you had a mortgage for £90,000. So you're in negative equity there to the lender. And this is where it got really tricky. The pandemic, you could put 5% in. So for a £100,000 house, you could put in £5,000 and have a £95,000 mortgage. So let's say the housing market falls 15% again. So that house, once again, is now worth £85,000 and you have a mortgage of £95,000, having put 5% in. So that means you're now £10,000 in negative equity to the lender. And to supercharge this even more, most people lended out their eyeballs for a house and lended out their eyeballs for a car. So now most have got these luxury finance cars and interest rates have started to rocket. Let's have a look at the damage on a mortgage calculator. We're going to say I went to buy a £450,000 house within the pandemic and I put in 5%. So the mortgage debt would be around £427,500. on a 30-year capital repayment mortgage. The repayments in the pandemic would have been around £1,580 fixed. Back then, you could get around a 2% interest rate on a capital repayment mortgage. And in today's day, with the interest rate flying up from 0.1% to 1.25% and possibly going higher before the end of the year, you'd now have to pay £2,217 if you've got the same type of mortgage. So once again, £427,500 in mortgage debt over 30 years capital repayment. The interest rate now on your own home with the interest rate hike is around 4.7% from a lender. So that means monthly repayments are now £2,217 per calendar month. So that is a massive increase from £1,580. It's almost 25% of what it was before, and an increase of £600. Obviously, for someone on a decent wage that managed to get the dream house with as little input as possible and a low interest rate back in COVID, and if they've also got a car as well, it could become a risky situation because it's a massive amount extra to have to pay each month. Pandemic was a while ago now, and mortgage terms are normally 2 to 5 years fixed. As much as you have a 30-year mortgage, the product actually only normally lasts around 2 to 5 years fixed. And so with interest rates hiking, and if they continue to do so, these people could be in a very sticky situation if they're not careful. I believe I've covered everything I needed to on this video, so if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. I hope you found value in this. I want to help as many people as I can because I believe sooner rather than later there's going to be some serious discount on properties, and I want everybody to be ready to go on a shopping spree, and let's all make some decent money together. So if you're looking to get into property, I've left my social media links below, and also a link where you can work with me directly in multiple different ways, so we can all get ready to take advantage of this super shopping spree that's about to happen. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side.